I just saw Fantastic Four First Steps. I'm going to do a review, no spoilers. We'll just give some basic thoughts of the film and whether or not I enjoyed it up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hello, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out the description of this video for links to my eBay store, whatnot, Instagram, and email. So, I went with the kids to see Fantastic Four First Steps Thursday night. We had bought tickets the first day they were available. We went to the Alamo Drafthouse, which I guess is originated in Texas. And they have a theater near me. It's one of those ones that has table service. They bring you food, and we just kind of make a little evening of it. We have our dinner, and we watch the movie. And one of the other things that is nice about this particular, two of the things, is they have a no talk, no text policy, which I've never had a problem with somebody else texting. In addition, the way the theater's laid out, since it's like kind of table service, you're not on the steep slope, right? Most movie theaters, like you're in stadium seating, so it's very easy to see like the phones of the people in front of you. If the people in the row in front of me are using a phone, I can't see it. But I had the experience like when I went to see Logan. There was a mom and I think her mother there with two young kids, like 6 or 7 years old. And they were just like, no, you can't. They can't be here for this movie. Actually, we had an experience. I forget what movie we went to see a kids movie last year, and there was one family. The kids were very rambunctious, and a manager came over to them and said, you're gonna have to leave if you can't keep it quiet because you. And they were fine after that. The other thing that I like is they do a pre-show before the movie. So they show like they showed clips of old Fantastic Four cartoons and toy ads, and like they had a Greek toy ad and other things that were kind of related. So different videos I guess they get from YouTube. But I think they had the trailer for the Corman version of the film. So and there were only like 3 trailers prior to the film. So we got to the film. It's not a long film. We went to see a 6 o'clock showing, and like everything, including the last of the credits and there's a mid credit and a post credit, which I won't talk about because this is spoiler free. Once the MPAA number runs, I usually stay for all of that. And you kind of have to with Marvel movies, right? So anyway, we went there, and just quick synopsis. It was a really good movie. By comparison, I didn't enjoy it as much as Superman. But I will say this. In terms of MCU movies, and people kind of on this roller coaster, the MCU's dead, and, it's kind of like you go back and forth. They have a good movie, they have a bad movie, a TV show, whatever it is. It's different than it was leading up to Endgame. Disney Plus and maybe an overabundance of content. That combined with the actors and writers strikes, and maybe they kind of lost their vision in terms of what do we want to do, because now we have like these Fox characters that we can bring in, and what are we leading up to. So the retooling, I'm not really in favor of what Kevin Feige said recently, where they want to have like one TV series or one movie a year. Like that's the plan for the next 7 years as we go forward. I'm like, obviously there are going to be a lot of superhero movies out there with DCU really ramping things up. But again, DC put out one movie this year, and that was it. So this is the third Marvel movie, right? We're not getting a fourth one. I think 2 and maybe specials. Part of the problem is that it's getting more and more difficult for people to jump into the story when you have characters that have been in like 5 TV series and 8 movies and so on and so forth. And I think that might have been part of the problem with the box office for Thunderbolts, is that all of these characters came from. I mean, in order to understand the backstory of the characters in Thunderbolts, you had to have seen Black Widow, Hawkeye, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, probably Endgame and Infinity War. Did I say Black Widow? Yeah, I said Black Widow. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Probably a couple of other things that I can't remember off the top of my head, just to get an idea of who the players were, right? Kind of, I think some people feel they can't jump in. For instance, my younger child was like, what do I have to know before I go to this movie? Because she didn't watch the FF films, the previous 3, not counting the Roger Corman one. The 2 with the Ian Grufford read, and the other with the Miles. His name's escaping me right now. Teller? No, that's somebody else. Anyway, the really bad one, the Michael B. Jordan Human Torch one. Oh my gosh, that was so bad. But at any rate, you and I said you don't need to see any of this. And what was nice about this movie is it is a brand new movie. Yes, it's part of the MCU, but it is its own story. I don't think it's any spoilers to say it takes place on its own Earth. And one of the things that I found interesting is, much like Superman, we jump into the action. There's no origin story. It's talked about, as is their history. But one of the things that I realize, like, as I'm like at home, we're walking in the front door and I'm talking to the kids about it. I'm like, wait a minute. The movie begins. It's the 4th anniversary of the Fantastic Four, and they give you a synopsis of, how they came to be and the villains they fought and all this sort of stuff. And it obviously the look of the film is a kind of futuristic 1960s, and I'm like, 4th anniversary. Wait, 4 years at 12 issues a year brings you to about issue number 48. Now, it was bi-monthly for a little bit of time. So it's like 4 years and a few months before you get to, I mean, if it was monthly, it would be issue 49. But that is, and it's no spoiler if you heard anything about the film and seen the trailers, that Galactus and Silver Surfer are the antagonists of the story. I love the performances. I mean, these are really good actors. Pedro Pascal did work for me as Reed. I wasn't really in favor of the casting to begin with, but he plays a very internalized Reed, and he does it well. Yeah, I would have liked John Krasinski. That, I think that would have been fun casting, but I mean, Pascal is an excellent actor. Vanessa Kirby, I'm not really familiar with her work. She was very good. Ibn Bachrach was fantastic as the Thing, and he was my favorite character in the film. But like the three of us each had 3 different favorite characters. And what's his name? Eddie Munson from Stranger Things. Completely different character here as Johnny Storm. And the interaction, the kind of almost like brotherly fighting that you get between Ben and Johnny was there. And that family aspect really worked very well in the film. Galactus worked, in a couple of different ways. I thought Galactus worked well, and I think there was a reason for the gender swap of the Silver Surfer. In terms of this story compared to the comic book story, but they were very, very faithful to the comic books in look, in chronology, in the universe that they're building, right? But these are the only superheroes there are in this universe. I would actually like to see a little bit more explored, just this self-contained thing of these characters in their own universe, because this is for me certainly better than the 3 previous films. The first two, the one, you know, with Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans and Ian Gruffin, those worked just fine. But they had their weaknesses. And part of it, I think, was limitations in terms of special effects. What they do here is they create an entirely new world. It looks old, but everything is new. Herbie the Robot was in there. I don't think Herbie was the scene stealer that I might have expected him to be, but that's fine. So it's, for me, I would give it 3.5 stars out of 4. It was a very good film. It's one of the better MCU films, certainly, you know, post Endgame. It was strong. It worked. And I think much like Superman, it's comic booky, right? And I think by setting it in another world, like the MCU is trying to be like what if our world existed with superheroes? The FF, our existence has never quite been like that. It's a little more utopian. And here's the thing too. The big part of the FF and a big part of early Marvel Silver Age books is the Cold War. The space race, that's why they go off into space. Tony Stark, you know, over in Southeast Asia, that's why he becomes Iron Man. You know, you have villains like the Red Ghost and the Crimson Dynamo. There are a lot of stories related to the Cold War in the early Silver Age. That's not present here. So they had to find some other, mechanism for them to become the Fantastic Four. But it is, I mean, it's faithful in look to the comic books. And in action, there are a lot of Easter eggs in there. So people who know the comic books will have fun with it. And I think if you're watching this channel, you probably more than likely know the comic books. So I had a good time. I think it's a promising intro to the multiverse. I don't think that they necessarily have the patience to say, okay, let's build these independent stories on these different realities. And it is referred to. The multiverse is referred to early on in the film, very kind of offhand. And have these, and then just bring these characters together at some point, you know, with the incursions. And, you know, I think I would like to see Marvel explore these characters more. I mean, is it set in the 1960s, or is it just set in a parallel universe where they're, style and technology is like, 60 years behind ours? That's certainly possible. Time space, just like, offhand plot device. Oh yeah, we traveled in time. That's all they need to do. Will these characters then come to present day and have to exist in the MCU universe? I'm not sure. But I certainly hope that we see more Fantastic Four post Doomsday and Secret Wars. The other thing that Marvel really has dropped the ball on is horror. And Kevin Feige, in his wherever he was speaking the other day about kind of the plan for the next 7 years, referred to a new genre, or a genre they haven't explored in the movies yet. Horror, right? Blade is, it hasn't been canceled, it's been taken off the slate. Ghost Rider, those are characters, those are like things we haven't seen. All we've had really is a Werewolf by Night special, but that doesn't have anything to do with that. Look of the film was great. I wish there had been a little more action early on. Things were kind of brief. And performances were all solid. The dynamics between the characters was right. The use of Mr. Fantastic's stretching visually worked. Unlike, just like in some of the earlier incarnations. So, again, I enjoyed the film. Let me know if you've seen it. And, hopefully people see it and this will be a successful film and they'll make... See, here's the goal. We want to have good films. We want to have successful films so they make money and they make more superhero films, because if you're watching a comic book channel, I'm going to assume that's what you like, right? And I think TV shows have always been a part of this for like the last 50 years, where you just have an episodic nature. And honestly, comic books lend themselves more to that episodic nature than movies do. This is the thing. You got this bad guy, or you got this little story arc, and we just keep coming back every month for more. So anyway, that's going to do it for me for today's video. I'd like to thank you all for stopping by. Let me know what you think. You can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. I didn't have an FF t-shirt, so I took off the DC one I had. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for stopping by, and this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.